On Remembrance Day, Lucas stepped into his grandpa's room, and the silence felt heavier than usual, like the room still held the weight of his stories. The photo, the medals, and the folded flag seemed to glow under the soft light of a small lamp. It was a space filled with memories, a quiet testament to a life lived with purpose. He felt a deep sense of respect and a pang of loss as he looked around. Grandpa had passed away last year, leaving a void that was impossible to fill. But the lessons he left behind, the stories he told, still echoed louder than the quiet in the room. Lucas reached out, his hand brushing against a worn brass medal. Its edges were slightly scratched, a sign of its journey, but it was preserved with so much care. He could almost feel the history contained within the cool metal. He thought back to the stories Grandpa had shared. He had joined the war when he was barely older than Lucas is now. A sepia-toned image formed in his mind. His grandpa, young and in uniform, surrounded by other soldiers. The air was cold enough to see their breath, but determination was etched on his face. He wasn't there for glory or adventure, but to protect lives and stand for what was right. He was just a boy, really, stepping into a world far more complex and dangerous than he could have imagined. One of the stories that always stood out was from his time in a POW camp. It was a moment that defined his character. German officers had demanded that certain prisoners step forward, singling them out. But his grandpa, standing tall with a steady expression, refused to betray anyone. He faced a choice that could have cost him everything, and in that moment, he chose truth over fear. The German commandant stepped forward, his voice sharp and cold. "All Jewish soldiers, identify yourselves," he ordered. The camp went silent. Hundreds of American prisoners stood frozen, knowing exactly what that order meant. But Grandpa didn't hesitate. He stepped to the front of the line, his voice steady. "We are all Jews here." His words cut through the silence like a blade. The commandant threatened him, but Grandpa never backed down. And in that moment, the Germans realized he would not betray his men. Because of his courage, nearly 300 Jewish American soldiers were saved. His courage didn't make him famous. It didn't win him headlines, but it helped save lives. It was a quiet, profound act of integrity. Lucas remembered another detail his grandpa had shared, something people who only saw the uniform would never know. He imagined his grandpa kneeling in the dirt at dusk, his helmet beside him, hands clasped in prayer. In the middle of chaos and uncertainty, with distant echoes of conflict in the air, he found his anchor. People saw the soldier, but they didn't see the faith that held him steady when everything around him felt like it was falling apart. Back in the present, in full color, Lucas held the medal tighter. His eyes reflected a mix of grief for his loss, pride in his grandpa's legacy, and a deep, burning curiosity. He whispered into the silence of the room, a question he wished he could ask him one more time. How did you stay brave when everything was falling apart? How did you find the strength to keep going? As the question hung in the air, he remembered something. He walked over to his desk and opened a worn Bible, a gift from his grandpa. A simple illustration of Daniel in the lion's den seemed to glow softly under his lamp. He remembered his grandpa pointing him to that story, telling him about another young man who trusted God in a place that should have broken him, a place designed to instill fear. Lucas sat still, a new understanding dawning on him. It wasn't just about a single moment of bravery. He could almost hear his grandpa's voice, calm and wise, saying, "Courage isn't built in one moment. It comes from trusting God long before the fear shows up. It's the daily practice, the quiet faith, that prepares you for the test when it finally arrives." And then, Lucas finally got it. Bravery wasn't always dramatic or world-changing. He thought about his own life at school. Sometimes, bravery is stepping between two arguing students. Sometimes it's helping someone who dropped their books in a crowded hallway. It's choosing kindness when it's easier to walk away. It's choosing honesty when a small lie would be more convenient. It's choosing to stand up when staying silent is the path of least resistance. On this Remembrance Day, as the evening settled in, Lucas knelt beside his bed. His grandpa's photo and medal were beside him, catching the soft glow from the lamp. He prayed, not just to honor those who served and sacrificed, but to ask for the strength to carry their courage forward in his own life. He remembered a verse his grandpa loved, a promise from God. When the righteous cry out, he hears them. It was a reminder that even in our smallest moments of bravery, we are not alone. Thank you for joining us in this moment of reflection. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content that explores faith and courage in our daily lives. We'd love to have you as part of our community.